What if I told you you were meant for something more? And what if at first sight your birthright was inked in blood? And what if dominion was written in big bold letters? And what if we shouldn't just occupy but overcome? And what if the observation of opposition was us? Antikemi, the podcast.
The huddle this week was special. I don't know if there's anyone in here that wasn't there, but I suspect there probably is because this is a bigger group. So if you didn't go back and catch it later, it was special. And it wound up, the huddle's a fairly open format situation, and it wound up going a specific direction, and I feel like we'll keep moving that direction a little bit today. But just know that we would not have dropped back to online only if there weren't an issue of lightning and hail.
Yes.
You know, we can run for our cars. If it starts to rain a little, we can pull some tarps over some stuff. We can hide out for a few minutes, come back out, laugh it off, and finish.
Rain doesn't scare us.
Yeah. But the Lord's flock is also living in physical bodies that probably don't need to be under a big metal uncompleted structure under certain conditions. Once it's done the way that it's supposed to be, I'll feel very differently.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
But the way things were, there just was I had been telling the team, the red line for me is thunderstorm activity during service hour, and it just would not quit threatening that. So it was just a matter of actual safety protection. So there we are. Nate, I wondered if you were going to make it in. Be careful on that road, bro. So the way that the huddle wound up going had so much to do with immunity to fear. As a not as a danger response, because God gave us that. We don't need to be immune to that. But fear as a resonant space that you live life in. And that shows up so many different ways. I don't think everybody's necessarily quaking in their boots. I mean, some have a hard time sleeping at night. Young people and old people, I've noticed. It's just scarier. The world is scarier when you're less independent.
Yeah.
It's much scarier to think about stuff that could radically alter your normal when you have your normal precariously balanced in a way that works for you because of limitations that are not by choice. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't ever concern yourself with wisdom and how to what will your fallback plan. I mean, if we hadn't talked about what a fallback plan would look like, we wouldn't be doing this right now. Like, exactly. You know, we almost always, if not always, have a fallback plan and then a fallback plan.
Right.
Which is where we are right now. We're in the fallback plan because the fallback plan would have been, you know, we tell folks, hey, we're encouraging you to just watch online. We go to the tent, pull out all the stuff, worship. Whoever shows up, shows up. We expect most people to be online. That would be the fallback plan on a rain day. But this was the fallback plan because we didn't need anybody out there under those conditions. that's not fear. That's just wisdom, right? So there, it's navigating that knowing the difference and navigating it, which you really can't do if your inner being is tuned to a frequency that resonates with anxiety.
Come on.
And
Because fear paralyzes you.
that's right.
And so paralyzation creates an inaction.
Right.
We did the opposite of that.
Yes.
There was preparation put in place, and there was a pressing that took place where people jumped quickly into action. Communication went out. We figured out what we were going to do as far as how we would set up the stream, how we would send it out, how we would administer everything. But if we were resonating from a fear aspect, we would have been kind of stuck in this cycle, this loop of, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Yeah, I got it on the...
You're on the split?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We're all good.
We're just making sure.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I think that's one of the biggest differences between how fear... I think we would ask the question is, notice what happens in your body.
Yes.
Notice what happens inside your body, not just your mind, because your mind is communicating to your body. Notice what happens and how you respond to that or react to that.
Yes.
And then you can kind of really dial in, am I resonating underneath a fear frequency, or am I just being wise and prepared?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
No, I really do. And it's Sister Debbie put in the feed so true. I never thought I would have concerns that I have now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what chapter of Ecclesiastes it is that deals with the aging process? It's the remember your creator in the days of your youth.
Let's see here. That's Ecclesiastes chapter 12.
Okay, yep. Verse 1, remember also your creator in the days of your youth, before the evil days come, and the years draw near when you will say, I have no delight in them. Before the sun and the light, the moon and the stars are darkened, and the clouds return after the rain. In the day that the watchmen of the house tremble, your eyes, and mighty men stoop, your back. The grinding ones stand idle, your teeth, because they are few. Those who look through the windows grow dim again, your eyes. Maybe the watchman could be your vision, your mind. The doors on the house are shut as the sound of the grinding mill again chewing is low, and one will arise at the sound of the bird, early waking, and all the daughters of song will sing softly, hard of hearing. Furthermore, men are afraid of a high place and of terrors on the road. The almond tree blossoms, white hair. The grasshopper drags himself along. You used to bounce around. Now you drag yourself along. The caperberry is ineffective. I'll leave that to your imagination. For man goes to his eternal home, while mourners go about in the street. Remember him before the silver cord is broken and the golden bowl is crushed. The pitcher by the well is shattered and the wheel at the cistern is crushed. Then the dust will return to the earth as it was, and the spirit will return to God who gave it. Pretty intense passage about aging, about the final battle, about moving toward the final engagement in this realm. But I've watched it happen. It was so unsettling when it happened to Bishop Phillips, partially because he was so strong for Mama Phillips. And then without her, he kind of sank like a stone and almost overnight became a very old man.
Yeah.
And to see someone whose entire life and ministry was defined by an almost an almost inexplicable lack of fear. Like when I tell you nothing shook this man. Um, and to watch him become genuinely fearful of going to a restaurant because of legitimate issues that could happen. What do we do if this and that? And it really sank in for me in that season. It comes to us all. It comes to us all. But now I'm having that experience with my own parents.
Yeah.
They're in their mid 80s. And it's just strange. It's strange to hear their concerns, to see just simple things. I'm trying to be careful, but simple things like you order something that's going to come in the mail and that can live in your head rent free for 2 or 3 days because you're not quite sure who's going to get to the mailbox. You know, is there going to be rain before they do? It just, it's a different reality.
Yeah.
It's something that is so odd to see come to someone you knew to be,
Yeah.
you know, so different than that. And it's interesting to me that Solomon's entire refrain in this passage is remember your creator now. Uh, remember him before. Do this now.
Yes.
He's not saying that because you can't do that then. It's just much harder. It's much harder to rest in peace and love during a genuinely scary season if you haven't practiced peace and love beforehand.
Oh my goodness. It's like the peace and love should be the frequency that you are reduced to.
Right.
It's the default setting
Yes.
that we should be automatically going back to whenever we're encountering whatever circumstance that would more than likely make most people resonate with fear. If we're already in a peace and love type of mentality and frequency. I mean, that's the way Jesus was able to sleep through the storm.
Right.
Quite literally.
Right.
And not have the same reaction from men who were seasoned fishermen, who were very accustomed with storms, like rain falling and wind blowing and the lightning flashing would not be something foreign to them. But this event posed a danger where they needed to have a level of reaction and they were quite taken aback that Jesus didn't have or didn't share their reaction at all.
It's so true. Does the King James call that a ship or a boat? Let's see here. Yeah, here we go. I think ship.
Are you in Mark's account?
I'm actually in Matthew's right now.
Oh, gotcha.
But that's only because that's the one I picked. I'm trying to remember where it says where they were going. If I can't get it right away, I'll paraphrase it. Yeah. It's the next. Like, I went to Mark. It's easier to see there. Mark 4.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, because Mark 5 tells you where they are, Gadarenes, when they get to the other side. I saw a video this week where a guy was doing a Bible study on that was so profound because he was explaining it. And for our Sunday morning crowd, this might be deep waters. For our Antikemi Nation crowd, this is just another Tuesday or Friday. But for us, it's Tuesday. For y'all, it's Friday.
Right.
But to say it simply, in the ancient cosmology of biblical times, Psalm 83 is a good place to start to understand that. God divides the nations between the Elohim, the ones he created that are in his image, but they don't rule this realm.
Right.
But he did give them dominion over nations. He entrusted nations to them to watch them, to care for them, to support them. And a lot of them defected away from him. I don't think all of them did, but a lot of them did. Maybe all of them did in the end. I don't know. Some of that's a little hard to tell. But there was a huge defection. And so then in Psalm 83, you see God passes judgment on them. He tells you, you're gods, but you're going to die for this because you received worship and you perverted the assignment I gave you. Yes. And you left the realm I told you to administer it from. They had dominion in the spiritual realm in the second heaven, but this was our dominion. And Paul talks about that, and Jude talks about that. They left that realm and came and intermingled here, and that's what Genesis 6 is about. They did all this hybrid DNA stuff and mess that you see happening right now. Mixture that God is not about, because it corrupts the birthright that he wrote into our DNA.
Right.
And so with that all being said, here's the cool tie-in with that story. Jesus asleep in the boat. Where Jesus took the disciples, when God told the gods in Psalm 83, you're going to die like men, all of that, he took Israel for himself as his own inheritance.
Yeah.
So they all had their inheritance among the nations, which he told them, you're going to wind up losing it for what you did. But that's the battle that's playing out. But he took Israel for himself. Those disciples had a pretty good idea of who Jesus was by the time they got in that boat. Meaning, within the territory of Israel, they would have been pretty confident about everything he could do because they knew he represented their Elohim in human flesh.
Yeah.
But they crossed over into one of the other territories that night. And the chaos monster came out from the abyss.
That's right.
In the ancient mind, and this can sound backward to us, I don't think it's backward at all. I think it's just a different view of like we look at the meteorology and the science, and sometimes what the Bible describes as science falsely so called. But we look at the evidentiary meteorological side. This is just the spiritual understanding of what is happening. It's every bit as real as the physics, as the meteorology. It's every bit as real. It's just a different view of what's happening.
Right.
It's actually what is behind those physics, what is behind that meteorology, moving it. It's being operated from the spirit realm. So in the mind of the ancient, they were very clear. When a tempest came up on the sea like that, the sea was the abyss. The bottomless pit that the Bible speaks of is at the bottom of the sea.
Yeah.
So in their mind, very clearly, the chaos monster is raging. And what you were supposed to do is appeal to the God of that territory to get the chaos monster under control.
I.e., what happened with Jonah.
100%.
Why the captain was like, hey, y'all pray to your gods.
That's right.
So that whoever we angered, we're able to safely traverse this chaos.
That's right. And the Hebrew word for the great fish prepared by God is actually a word for the chaos monster.
Right. Which is what's talked about inside Job. Yeah.
That's right. Leviathan who can. So all of that is to say what had the disciples so shook is not actually, it wasn't some massive lack of faith.
Yeah.
It was poor theology.
Oh, my goodness.
The Baal cycle, the entire Baal cycle, which is the description that academia has given to everything that we have learned about, which is most of it. Like we've been able to unearth the original Baal text to the point that there's not really any doubt left what the Baal cult was, how it operated. It's all there. It's thousands of pages. You and I both have it. I've poured through it. I have by no means read it all. It's dense.
Yeah.
But we know what the Baal cycle was, and it coincided with the seasons of the year.
Yes. And
what Baal was doing every time he disappeared during the winter is how they saw it, is he was down in the abyss fighting the chaos monster. In their mythology, he gets killed in that battle and then resurrects in the spring. So all the sacrificing and all of that was to power him in his battle and then push him through the resurrection process and get spring back. And so in the mind of the ancients, the Hebrews kept struggling with idolatry, not because they're any different than us.
No.
But because it gets scary when you don't know how you're going to feed your family if the crops won't grow.
You're inundated in this system.
Yes.
That's surrounding you.
Yes.
And so while you're a nation, a monotheistic nation, right, who has seen the Most High God do incredible things, it gets to a point where you're surrounded by your neighbors, all this Canaanite worship happening, and it's it's agrarian society.
Yes.
So you're literally living by what you grow, what you raise. And if everything in the culture around you is saying, hey, we have to do these certain things to appease this God who is going to fight for us on our behalf, it's real easy to fall into that pressure.
Yes.
And that's why they kept on doing. I mean, anybody who's read the Bible and we read it now from our Western eye frame and our mindset, we're like, how do these people keep on worshiping Baal over and over and over? How did kings keep on falling into this idolatry? Well, when you know a little bit of the culture behind it, you can see it's the same thing that's happening right now in America.
Yeah, same way we do.
How are all these religious leaders falling to idolatry?
Yep.
It's because that's the system of this world. And there is very real pressure. This is what Antikemi is about. It's resisting that. It's standing as opposition against those things.
Yes.
And so that makes so much sense that these disciples have now encountered enemy territory.
Yes.
And some of their default settings is kind of going back to the culture that they're surrounded in, right? And like, hey, we know we have Jesus on our boat, but we need him to do something.
Yes.
That's where Hosanna comes from. Save us now.
Yes.
We need something that's happened right now.
Most of what happens on Christian television would be condemned in Scripture as Baal worship. And I'm not saying that to be incendiary. I'm saying we don't call things what they are, so we don't think we do that stuff. But TI is what TI is. It's the same exact thing. It's taking things you can hold in physicality and imbuing them with the name and character of God. It's saying this tangible thing is the evidence that I have pleased God. That's what idolatry is, because an idol is just a nice sculpture that you have basically poured intention into. The priests would anoint it, but what they were doing is they were vesting it with they didn't think the thing itself was alive. They just thought that the force they were worshiping took up residence in that object. We call that a cursed object now. But that's what that was. But when we take money, power, success, fame, and we say, hey, the God of the Bible, if you will give his priests, which they don't tell you is you, but if you will give his priests your money, he will give you this stuff. That's the exact same thing. That's what you're doing. And if you want to watch how it works in motion, go back to Exodus and read where the Israelites are terrified because Moses has been on the mountain too long, and they figure he got fried up there, because we all see what's going on up there. And they tell Aaron, hey, your brother's dead. Like, come on. We know that. So make us gods that we can worship. Aaron is not making them another god in his mind or their mind, because what does he do when he puts their gold in the fire?
Come on.
And brings this calf out of the fire? He says,
come on.
Today is a feast unto Yehovah. Behold, O Israel, Yehovah your God, who brought you up out of it. He's not saying, I think your God is a calf made out of gold. He's saying, I put your God in this. This, us being gathered today, worshiping. What does Moses say to Joshua when they're coming down the mountain? Joshua says there's a noise of war in the camp.
Yes.
Moses says, that's not the sound of war that I hear. That's the sound of singing. What are they doing? They are having a worship service.
Oh my God.
And an orgy, but that's the same thing we do. We mix flesh, carnality, and sensuality all up into. So we've put these veneers on it that give us a level of plausible deniability.
Oh my God.
But we're doing, it's not similar, it's the same.
Hold on. Oh boy, read your Bible. So I got two things. Going back to what we were saying as far as the metaphor, as far as the sea, Revelation 21, verse 1. You know where I'm going with this.
I do.
And so, John's saying, then I saw.
It's such a weird scripture from the modern
point
of view.
But when you look at it from this framework, right?
Biblical cosmology.
Then I saw a new heaven and new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth passed away, and there is no longer any sea.
Which I used to get bummed out. I'd be like, what you mean there's going to be no beach?
Right, yeah. World? It's like all the water is just going to evaporate up. No, that's not what he's saying at all. He's saying that the chaos, that the ancient Near East mindset, that is no longer going to be in power.
Yeah.
It's going to have no hold in the new heaven and new earth,
There will be no abyss.
there was no abyss at all.
There's no way that means there won't be large bodies of water, because God is who he is. He's a supporter of life.
Yes.
I have a feeling it'll be different because we don't know what this planet was like or this earth was like before the continents blew apart and all of that. So I'm sure it'll be very different. But the point is not no large bodies of water. The point is no abyss, no chaos monster, no bottomless pit, nowhere that lives in the back of your mind. My daughter, Callie, has a existential dread of the deep ocean, which ruins cruising for her.
I can imagine.
These modern cruise ships are so massive that once we were on it, she was okay. It's still not her top 5 favorite things she ever did.
But when you look out and you see endless water,
and you know that that's also all that's below you.
Yeah, that's disconcerting.
But I think it's also, and I'm not speaking for her, but I'm talking about the subconscious deep in our ancestral DNA, memory that we don't even know we carry.
Yeah.
It's the mystery of it. It's a bunch of astronauts supposedly just orbited the moon for however long they did. I'm assuming they really did that. Some of that I feel like we kind of take on faith, but I'm just assuming they said they did it, right? But nobody's doing that on the ocean floor. We can't get there.
The ocean is like what they say, like 70% undiscovered.
A lot of the estimates are way more than that.
Yeah,
but I don't know. A lot of the estimates are like 95%, that kind of thing.
It's something like crazy. Right?
Bottom line is, we don't even know what's down there, and that is unsettling. They had that layered on top of a lot of cultural knowledge about what actually was down there. So when people are slipping into idolatry constantly, there's only ever been 2 things that have driven human economy and human innovation. In the history of civilization, there's only 2 forces that drive that. You know what they are: agriculture and military.
Yeah,
that is what drives innovation. It's what drives economy. Which is why the Bible is constantly tying the promise of the Messianic age to they will beat their swords into plowshares.
Yes.
Because in God's purpose that he put us in this earth for, rule over this garden, keep it, have dominion in it, and expand it through the whole earth. So bottom line, one of those drivers of economy and innovation comes from God, and one comes from hell. One comes from heaven, one comes from hell. One comes from God, one comes from the adversary. We were never supposed to learn war. That's why one of the top freedom songs of your people, study war no more.
Yeah.
Ain't gonna study war no more.
Right.
Because our wars will be through and his wars will be through. And so war drives innovation and economy exceedingly well in this corrupted realm because it resonates so deeply with fear and lust, which are the 2 main drivers of everything that has to do with carnality. Fear, lust, and pride. It all comes down to that. Fear, lust, and pride. And nothing could be more closely tied with war. Agriculture is peace, plenty, or even struggle, but community.
Yeah.
Agriculture is communal. Agriculture is peaceful. Agriculture edifies, it doesn't destroy. No one has ever gone to plant a farm and said, tonight, a whole civilization will die.
Right.
No farmer has ever uttered those words. Even these lunatic farmers that are destroying the earth. It's not.
Yeah.
So I'm saying all that to say there is a God of peace. The Bible talks about the God of peace. Mm. There's a God of peace and there is a God of war.
Yeah.
There is a God of provision, plenty, and security, and there is a God of lust, desire, fear, pride, and that one is called by Jesus Mammon. But that's the same force behind Baal. It's the same force behind Dagon. It's the same force behind Woden. It's the same force behind Zeus. It's the other one.
Yeah.
And so in this realm, you constantly have this pressure coming from the God of this world to align your body, mind, and spirit, body, soul, and spirit with anxiousness, lack, desire, ambition, fear, distrust, tribalism. All of that pressure is being pounded into us. And I know we talk a lot about this, but our job is not to entertain the Lord's flock. Our job is to keep the Lord's flock. Our job is to feed the Lord's flock.
Yes.
And right now, church, this is the diet we're supposed to be on. We're supposed to be meditating on how do we tune our hearts to resonate with peace, with love, with joy, with hope, with help, with provision, with plenty. Because the reason the disciples were so confounded when Jesus woke up, it doesn't say he commanded the waves and the wind. It says he rebuked them. Same language it uses when he casts a demon out of anything.
That's right.
Have you ever wondered how the demons knew by the time Jesus got to the tombs who was coming? Their master got whipped, got put in his place before Jesus ever set foot on that beach. Their master came home licking his wounds and said, he's coming. He's right behind me. He's right by. He put me on my leash.
My goodness.
And so the disciples are going, what manner of man is this? They already knew all his miraculous power and capabilities in the territory of El Elyon, in Jehovah's territory. They just didn't realize in their hearts anymore. They knew in their minds, but they didn't realize in their hearts anymore that all the earth is Jehovah's and the fullness thereof. The sea, all that is in it, they that dwell therein.
My goodness.
They didn't know it in their hearts. And in that moment, they realized he's bigger than we thought he was.
Yeah. Yeah.
We knew who he was, but we didn't know who he was. We knew who he was where we were. We didn't know who he was in the cosmos.
Yeah.
Because he was just out of his supposed territory. And that principality bowed.
It had to.
Immediately. And all of his forces came screaming, have you come to torment us before our time?
Yeah. They knew there was a clock on it.
And they knew the alarm when they heard it.
That's so good. Let me hit you with this. Because as I was kind of thinking, the reason we had to even pivot today, right?
Yes.
I was using weather, right? But you quickly says, hey, this is not weather. This is a thunderstorm. And so it's easy for us to just kind of drill down or have like a mass overview of like, hey, it's just weather, right?
Right.
But that's not why we pivoted
Right.
based upon weather. We kind of made that clear earlier. It was a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
So that led me to kind of like think, you know how my brain works. And I was just like, how does that kind of work? And why is that such a difference? And like the science behind a thunderstorm is fundamentally a massive electromagnetic event.
Right.
It's a collision of charge differentials that's seeking equilibrium. So it's fighting for balance, but it's at war with itself. And there is a specific frequency architecture kind of behind that. So we know like a thunderstorm, the elements, you have rain, you have thunder, and you have lightning. And so you have all these different things kind of coming together as a result of this storm event forming, right?
Right.
And so sometimes you can hear the storm coming before you even see it. Before you feel a drop of rain, you hear the rolling thunder in the distance. And it got me thinking about how that's how fear works a lot of times. You have heard something. There is a frequency that hit your auditory before you ever saw anything forming. You heard about it. Sometimes it happens in reverse. You may see the lightning flash,
Right.
but you haven't heard the thunder yet.
Right.
It's clapping a little longer behind.
And if you're old school, you count to see how far.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Even before you have felt the effects of the rain or see the lightning crash down to the earth. Looking at, without even getting to all the deep science behind it, people can kind of do that research, which is really cool as far as the frequency that the thunder strikes and how it hits us, and even the lightning flashing, right? You're familiar with the Schumann resonance, of course.
Schumann resonance.
Which is like the frequency of like basically you could call it an Earth's heartbeat.
Yes. It's just like the default sound that this world emits.
Do you know that it says that lightning strikes the Earth 100 times per second globally? And that each strike sends
100 times per second.
These waves that propagate around the planet in the cavity between the Earth's surface and the ionosphere. And it resonates, right? But it resonates remarkably close to the human brain's alpha-theta boundary. That threshold between alert awareness and deep meditative states.
Yeah.
The Earth is literally ringing like a bell constantly.
It truly is.
Which is why grounding is like so important, right? But let's bring in the spiritual. Like let's overlay the spiritual aspect to it. Going back to Moses, the children of Israel, they're seeing their leader, mind you, they just crossed the red what? The Red Sea. So they've literally just seen the chaos in the abyss split open.
Move aside.
Move aside, get out the way.
Right.
And if you have any type of mystery that's keeping you paralyzed, a lot of times it's the mystery of the unknown. Yep. We don't know what we don't know. And we just talked about the sea being unknown. Yeah. I see Brother Caleb had talked about 97% of the sea we haven't really explored or discovered. So imagine you're stepping up to the edge of the sea, completely unknown, and the Most High says, I'm going to break it apart, and you're going to see the bottom of it. I'm going to let you get to the bottom of this thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you get to the bottom of what you're afraid of.
Right.
And I'm going to let you walk
Yes.
on the bottom of what you're afraid of.
Come on, somebody.
In a dry place. What you thought was going to overwhelm you, overtake you, and drown you, I am going to move it aside and give a straight path for you, right?
Yeah.
They walked on dry ground. Now we're at the foot of Sinai. Moses is up 40 days plus talking to the Most High God, getting further instructions for us to go. And we have a lot of times we don't have a strong faith problem. I love this is how Darius Daniels puts it. I don't have a strong faith problem. I have a long faith problem.
Yep.
I had strong faith to walk through the Red Sea. That took some strong faith. That's crazy, right? But do I have enough long faith? Do I have enough longevity to wait on God to do the next thing that he's told me to do? And it was just to wait.
Yeah.
And so they're waiting, but notice what is happening on the mountain. Thunder and lightning is happening at the top of this mountain.
Yes.
And of course they're like, see?
Yeah.
See?
He cooked.
There's no way he's surviving this. Whatever's happening up there, there's no man that can survive
no part of
that.
it, and Moses
No.
went up there.
He's gone. And so it got me thinking, like, how often do we see the effects of the thunderstorm? But the Most High God, I don't find it accidental that he used the motif of thunder to speak to his people. When they were getting the commandments, his voice is echoing like thunder and lightning is flashing down, and that is terrifying them.
Yep.
But his voice, he can use the thing that we're most afraid of
Yes.
to speak to us if we resonate with the right frequency
Yes.
to recognize his voice. I thought that was just kind of cool.
No, bro, I'm loving it because the Psalms are full of this imagery. The Lord thunders from the heavens. His voice breaks apart the rocks. He sends forth his arrows, lightning. That's what he's talking about.
Come on.
He sends forth his arrows,
Yes.
and the enemy is scattered. Dirty little secret that a lot of people don't know until you study the Baal cycle and read those clay tablets or read translations of what is on them, is that some of those psalms are actually hymns to Baal that the psalmist has taken.
Oh my God. And like
Baal is the storm god, the war god.
And repurposes it.
Yes.
I love it even how Heath said earlier, you can not just hear it, but you can smell the rain before if your senses are in tune.
There it is.
We talked about this a lot on the podcast about like the 5 motif and how bringing all 5 of your senses under subjection. A lot of times that's how we see some of these stories play out when our 5 senses are underneath the submission of the Most High God.
Yes.
That's when things can happen. And I think that's a great point of like
so good.
Using all of your senses to see, smell, hear.
Yes.
In line. And then eventually feel like that rain.
The 4 brainwave frequencies of the human mind, the 4 wavelength patterns that the human mind moves through in different states of consciousness through the day, through the night, through prayer and meditation, those kinds of things. Beta, alpha, theta, gamma. But the Bible and the ancient world calls those earth, water, wind, fire.
The elements.
And the 5th is always ether. Is in the ancient cosmology. I believe that's just what the Bible calls heaven, or the 3rd heaven, the place where God is. But what's interesting about that is the way it correlates to the senses, because remember, you can't see God and live. But the ultimate experience of being in the presence of God is to see God. And we all know that the ultimate promise is we shall see him face to face.
Come on.
And the part of us that couldn't survive that will already be buried in the ground, raised through the water, breathed into by the wind, purified by the fire.
Hold on. They missed it. They missed it, Pastor. No. Run it back.
Beta, alpha, theta, gamma, earth, water, wind, fire. In order to, and we have, that's 4 states, but there's a 5th state.
Yes, sir.
The ancients called it ether.
Come on.
I believe the Bible calls it heaven, the ultimate heaven, the throne of God. Just like you have 5 senses, you have 4 senses that correlate to these states of consciousness.
Yeah.
Taste and touch and
Yes.
smell and all that. But from the best I can tell, I believe that sight is that ultimate state. When we see God, that's what the whole thing is about. Even Job knew that. Job said, even though my flesh rots away, I know that I shall see my Redeemer in this body. Even though I know I'm going to die before that, I know I'm going to stand in this body and see him.
That language is so key. I love it.
God's people have long known this.
Yes.
It does not yet appear what we shall be, but we shall be like him when we see him face to face. So because no man can see God and live, and yet the ultimate promise is that we see him, this is why Acts 2:38 is what Acts 2:38 is. This is why we have to be buried in the ground, beta, raised through the water, alpha, breathed on by the Holy Spirit, wind, or theta,
yeah.
purified by the fire, gamma, so that we can reach that final expression of who he created us to be and be in his presence. And so when the psalmist is giving voice to this, hey, I realize the thunder is his voice, the lightning is his arrows, the wind is his. What is happening is that the psalmist saw this whole tableau play out before them that resonated nothing but fear and an anxious sense of a need to appease a God I can touch, a God I can control, a God I can bargain with, a God I can conceive. That fear came from the mythos of Baal, of Zeus, of all these fallen entities. But the psalmist was saying, it's all him. And once you realize that, and those psalms are filled with his enemies scattered, the earth was laid bare, his people were saved. Even the terrifying, seemingly truly uncontrollable, largely unmanipulatable forces of nature lose their grip of anxiety in your life because you know at the end of the day, that's him too. That's him too. That's him too.
All of it.
All of it. And so you begin to be basically unassailable. This is why remember your Creator in the days of your youth. And it's not just older folks that have a really hard time. It's also younger folks. They're so much more dependent. And I remember, I don't know if you can relate to this. I grew up hearing post-tribulation preaching. So a lot of y'all have rapture trauma. I have like tribulation trauma. And I know we've got our young people with us, so I'm not going to get into what that actually was like. But I'm talking about, Sister Deborah Hill can affirm, multi-hour sermons that spared no detail
Of like, yeah,
what was coming.
right.
I would have killed for a Tim LaHaye book. Like, I mean, so that's my trauma.
Get us out of here. Jesus.
But so I don't know if this is relatable to somebody with rapture trauma, but I suspect this might be an area where our experience would coincide, possibly. One thing that I hated as a kid, when I would hear all these old timers talk about, you know, how excited they were about all this, he's coming any day. I felt some resentment because my thinking was, you already got yours.
I felt that same way. Yeah. I want to experience a little bit more of life.
When's my turn?
Yeah.
What you talking about, Willis? Yeah. It didn't feel fair.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want our young people to know that's very relatable. I understand that. And it's hard for you right now because you're in a part of your life, especially for our young people that are becoming conscious and aware enough, you know, prepubescent, pubescent, all of that, becoming conscious and aware enough, or even, you know, young teenagers and all of that. You're in a phase of life where you're actually in the process of becoming deeply attached to your body and to the realm it moves in. And ego is coming to the front. You're desperate for identity, opportunity, experience. And it can feel like all of this anxious energy that's seething around you is just trying to rob you of everything that you're just becoming attached to. And I want to encourage our young people to know a few things. One of them is that that's true. That is what that energy is about, because that energy is coming at you from the one who came not but to steal, kill, and destroy.
Yes.
But he doesn't have to kill your body. He doesn't have to cut your life short. He doesn't have to bring tribulation or persecution on you to destroy you. All he has to do is make you live in that resonance while you're safe in your parents' home, surrounded by love and opportunity and all of that for many of you, not all of you, for many of you, and rob you of your ability to enjoy the moment that God has given you. Ecclesiastes also says in chapter 3, he has made everything beautiful in its time.
I love that you're kind of focusing on the young people. What comes to mind is like the old, I don't know if it was a proverb, they've actually kind of proven it out, of like the baby elephant. And if you tie a baby elephant, like its foot, to like a chair, the baby elephant tries to get away, and so they discipline it, they bring it closer, they condition that baby elephant to not move.
Yes.
And so as the elephant grows and gets big, they can do the same thing. They can tie the string or rope to the baby or to the elephant's foot and tie it to a chair. Just a chair. The chair's not tied down. The elephant in its strength and might
Can go anywhere.
Could go anywhere. Stomp on the chair if it wanted to. But its mind has been so conditioned that it will not move.
Yes, sir.
It is literally paralyzed in that frequency loop of fear because of what it's been conditioned to do when it was younger.
And they've tested that across species.
Yeah. If we can get to their children,
yep,
we'll forever have them.
Yes. And they will stay in the cage not because it exists, because it doesn't. The whole thing's an illusion.
In their mind.
They'll stay in the cage not because it exists, but because we trained them to live in that resonance.
I love how Sister Felicia She said she finds it interesting about those who've been injured or broken in their bodies. They gain the sense of feeling, and how that correlates with her with being broken in spirit or in heart.
Yes. That's so deep and so profound. This is also where phantom pain comes in.
Yes.
I have a personal experience that's nowhere this extreme. I'll share it. But first, just think amputees struggling deeply with everything from pain to itching
Oh yeah.
on a limb they can't get to because it's only there in their mind map.
Yeah.
There are neurons assigned to it that in the absence of having somewhere to go, they generate signals they would expect out of habit.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're experiencing sensation from something that's no longer even attached to you. For me, my experience with this is a little bit different. Brooke had this habit that I really enjoyed in our, dating and young marriage. She would just absentmindedly scratch, gently with her fingernails at the middle of my shoulders. Mm-hmm. And I liked it. Who doesn't like to have their chick gently scratching their back while you're, just whatever. And then that very area of my body became the area that was just tormented, that all the chronic pain that was radiating through my body was coming from right there. And over time, I began to jerk away when she would do that. And to this day, even though it's been years now, 3 or 4 years since the Lord really began to heal me deeply. Yeah. And I have so much less of that now that I don't react. In fact, I'm back to being like where that's nice. 2 things. One, it took a long time to get there. I was living without much pain long before that became something that didn't trigger me to jerk away. When I asked the pain doctor about it, the pain doctor said one quality of chronic pain is that after a while, the nerves learn to interpret all sensation as pain.
Oh, my goodness.
And then the other side of it is she lost the habit. So this situation of perception altered this area of our lives long past the actual issue that created it, which is what we mean about being tuned to a certain resonance.
Yeah.
And you really do have to go through the process of earth, water, wind, fire to be fully transformed into the new creature in order to see God. It involves all your senses being trained and equipped, which comes forward in scriptures like taste and see that the Lord is good.
Psalm 34:8, yeah.
Taste and see. So I believe the Lord is desiring for us, old and young and middle alike, He's desiring for us to choose the table we eat at more carefully, more consciously, and more consistently. You can't serve fear and love.
No.
You can't serve the provider and desire. You can't serve competing masters. There is only God and mammon, God and stuff. And all of the fear that's being peddled at us has to do with stuff. So learning to resist is not just about learning to power through the pain or power through the fear. It's rejecting the pain and rejecting the fear that will transform your reality. It's very hard to explain to somebody who's living in fear why rejecting fear is going to help, because they want you to solve the thing that they're afraid of. But the thing that they're afraid of only exists in the realm of fear.
Only in that realm. Pastor, that's good. That is really good. You have something else you want to get into, or
just a quick run through just of a couple of the points in the notes. I think the notes in the app, if you are resonating with this message, I would encourage you to do a few things. But one of them is the notes in the app are very simple notes.
yeah.
Use them in your prayer and study time this week. Let the Lord lead you out of them. You know, in this environment, we're preaching very simple, gospel-centric messages that can easily become a springboard for deeper dives with the Holy Ghost in your own devotional time. But I want to encourage people also to think of the ones around you that need a word like this.
Yeah, they need to be reminded.
You don't even have to send them to the feed. I mean, you can, but maybe you're supposed to sit down with them and share this message with them. Maybe you're the preacher this week.
Come on.
So to that point, Isaiah 26, most of us learned verses 3 and 4, or really verse 3 in the KJV. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on thee. And most of us only learned it that far. But then there's because he trusteth in thee. And the next verse, trust ye in Yehovah forever. For in the Lord Yehovah is everlasting strength. Pastor Brooks said on the huddle, which is really what took us in this direction of this whole discussion about fear and fear of the unknown and oh, that's good. Brother Thomas quotes frequently, if you never get in the boxing ring with fear, you will never know how to beat it.
Yes, that's so true.
There it is. Pastor Brooks said, I cannot feel the fear anymore in our walk of faith, which just arrested me, because that is the voice of someone, and I know because she stayed in that boxing ring with fear for a minute. In fact, that was a cage fight.
Yeah,
that was an all-out MMA, like no rules. But she's saying, I've tuned my heart by the grace of God to a resonance that even though my flesh still has the idea, because she didn't say I don't feel the fear anymore. She said I can't feel the fear anymore. That's speaking of like, it reminds me of a nerve ablation, or like you're talking about an interrupted signal. I can't get that transmission anymore. That station, I can't reach that station with my tuner anymore. It's not that the flesh never tries. I can't get to it.
I can't. Yeah.
And I just put in the notes, but it wasn't always that way. And it just took me back to a running kind of joke that we have in our home. And I'm only going to dwell on this for just a moment, y'all. Our friend Steve Damon, whose son was in our wedding, and he owns Quantum Digital, which I don't know about now, but for many, many years, it's right here in Austin. It's a direct mail company, and he rode the .com thing and all that very, very well. And for many, many years, Quantum Digital was a Fortune 400 company. I don't know about now, but one time he sat with us for an interview when we were young in our career. We were doing some business to business networking, early days of YouTube and all that, and we interviewed him. And he made this statement that there was a week in the founding of their company where he had to make a decision to either shut all the presses down and send everybody home with their last check, or keep going for one more week and put the $60,000 payroll on the last credit card that he or anyone in the family could find to max out, just to go one more week. And it was this breathtaking moment because I had no guarantees that another week was going to make the difference.
Yeah.
But they really believed in the model they had. They believed it was the right model for the right moment. So they rolled that dice and they kept the presses running for that one more week. They worked as hard as they could. He put the payroll on his credit card. And now they are this massive institution with, and I remember telling Brooke, I can't wait till we can look back on our story and tell other people that right there, that's the credibility that I want to be able to tell people. Just go another week. Just keep pushing. If you know God gave it to you, if you know it's, just keep pushing. And Brooke was like, I rebuke that. I want no part of that. I don't want a story. I don't want and I get that. And I'm not a negative person. I'm almost toxically optimistic. But I just remember telling her, I just don't think that's how it works. I think we're working on our story right now. And we were. And we do have that testimony. We have it in more than one iteration. So much so that getting the story has become just kind of instinctive. Like, we know, like, we're in the story part right now. And there comes a point where you really can sleep in the ship, because the same God who told you to go to the other side, the same, like, it changes. The quality of it changes. The experience of it changes. Don't get me wrong. You get weary. Sometimes we roll our eyes and laugh and say, we could have just kept working at our mid-level. Like, we would be so comfortable right now. But here we are. And what we have learned is that it's the story where God gets the glory. Like, that's so you don't skip it.
You can't.
You learn your overcoming in the process, and you get to experience victory as he brings you through it. So reading from the New Living Translation, that part of Isaiah, which is the part of Isaiah that's dealing with the prophecies against the nations, and then he has a chapter that's a song of praise to God, and then a chapter that's a song of trust in God, which is what this one is. Isaiah 26 says, in that day, everyone in the land of Judah will sing this song. That phrase right there arrested me this week. Everyone in the land of Judah will sing this song. What is that telling you? That is telling you we are, our resonance is aligned.
Yes.
We are all singing from the same page of the hymn book.
We're unified. Yeah.
We're unified. We're in tune. Everyone in Judah will sing this song. Our city is strong. We are surrounded by the walls of God's salvation. I don't want people to miss that what he said right there is, we are surrounded by the walls of Elohim's Yeshua. That's how that
should read.
Is.
Yeah.
Yeshua. Open the gates to all who are righteous. The gates of what? The strong city whose walls are Yeshua. Allow the faithful to enter. You will keep him you will keep in perfect peace. So you're kept in perfect peace. All who trust in you, all whose thoughts are fixed on you.
Come on.
So the promise is God will keep in perfect peace all who trust in him, whose thoughts are fixed on him, who have tuned themselves to that frequency, like the Schumann resonance, your core frequency. When the lightning strikes, what is the sound that rings out of the bell? That tells you what your frequency is.
That's good.
If it's fear, that's what's going to ring out.
Yes.
If it's love, that's what's going to ring out. So the command following the promise is trust in Yehovah always, for Yehovah Elohim is the eternal rock. Stayed, fixed, tuned. The modern terminology for it is mindset. What sets the mind of a person on the God in whom they trust? It's the Spirit of God. It's that simple. It's the Spirit of the one that raised Jesus from the dead living in your heart. Earth, water, wind, fire. Romans 8 says, for those who are according to the flesh set their minds on the things of the flesh. Of course, Antikemi is from Galatians 5:17. The flesh cannot desire what the Spirit desires. The Spirit cannot desire what the flesh desires, for these are Antikemi. They lie opposite to each other. For those who are according to the flesh set their minds on the things of the flesh, but those who are according to the Spirit, the things of the Spirit. Did you catch it? Set their minds. The mind set on the flesh is death. But the mind set on the Spirit is life and peace. And I just put in the notes, this is not an automatic process. In other words, your instinct is not going to get you there because you're born in a corporeal body that is tuned to the resonance of this world.
But you got to physically tune yourself. Yeah.
That's right. And in that process of doing that all the time, every time, like Isaiah 26 says to do,
it becomes automated.
Yeah, it's not automatic, but you can automate it. It can become
good.
Your default.
Yes.
And so my closing encouragement to you would be, listen to the hymn this week, Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing.
Oh, my goodness.
Tune my heart to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. Teach me some melodious sonnet, sung by flaming tongues above, lightning. Praise the mount. I'm fixed upon it. Mount of God's unchanging love. And the rest of the song is just that good in the same way.
Yes, sir.
God's saints have known this for a long time. They didn't know that they knew it, but they knew it by experience. That's why the old church mothers and all that, during testimony time, what did they always want to say? God woke me up this morning. He started me on my way. He kept me. If it had not been, where would I?
Yeah.
Their testimonies were always like, oh, there goes Mother so-and-so again. Yes, that's because the old timers knew this by instinct and by experience.
Oh, my God.
And we need to learn it again.
Praise God. My gosh.
Amen. We love y'all.
Thank y'all for kicking it with us. Stay safe, but continue to remember it's Operation Sting.
That's the core.
Full activated.
These are the way we want to view being grouped up together. I don't think it needs to be super over organized. I think the organization should come in the form of communication mostly. But if the Lord lays it on you to perform an act of Christian service, find somebody else or a couple somebodies, because two or more, do it together and call it a serve group. That's the S. If you feel called to pour into people to help them become who they were created to be, to make disciples, find a few people to do it with. Disciple somebody into being a discipler. One of the things I love about Thomas and Lisa, man, they are automated disciple makers.
Yes, they are.
And I don't just need them making disciples. I'm like, we got to send people their way who have that gift, but it hasn't been pulled out of them
Yes,
yet.
sir.
Because I need them to learn how to make disciples, not just how to be a disciple, but how to make a disciple. And so that's a training team. That's the T of the S.T.I.N.G. Information groups. I forget how we said that, but that's warfare.
Yeah.
That's our Nazarites. That's our seeing in the spirit. Y'all don't realize
It's
how
intel.
much of that is intel.
It's intel.
How much of that is happening behind the scenes
Yes.
to keep this thing moving forward. I get calls all week long, especially from a couple people who are like, this is how they operate in the kingdom. Emails. I had this dream. I saw that. And I don't even get back to all of them, but it all comes into the mix and you start to pick up the threads. Okay, God is clearly saying this.
Yes.
And it keeps, so we need that. We need our prayer warriors. We need our intel. And the neighbor rings, that's something I would have loved to get into today, but it just isn't the time. But the Lord has really impressed me in the last year that one of the major foundational stones of the enemy's plan to scatter the sheep, and I don't just mean the church, I mean the human race, because in a broader cosmic way, the human race are his sheep. The church is his flock, but the others are lost sheep, by and large. There's some others in the mix. But the human race itself is a lost flock that belongs to somebody. And the enemy has a plan to scatter it, to devour it. And one of the cornerstones of that is isolating society to the point that when trouble comes, nobody trusts anybody. Neighborhoods are not neighborhoods. Neighborhoods right now are neighborhoods in name only.
Yeah.
This week, my son got a dirt bike that actually makes noise. It's got a two-cycle motor. So very different than the e-bikes that he was riding around. So he's revving it all over the neighborhood. Neighbors drove by. One guy drove by just puffing a cigar, just like cigar smoke billowing out of his car, smiling from ear to ear, slowed down to watch the kids, wave at them. Pardon me, y'all. And I just noticed it has truly become a rare sight to see neighbor kids
Hanging out. Yeah.
Neighborhoods are neighborhoods in name only. We're scared of each other. We don't know each other. We don't trust each other. That condition cannot be the case when the chips are down.
Nope.
And it is the enemy's determination that that is how it will be. And it's up to the church, the Antikemi nation that God is calling. It's up to the church to rise up and go, not on our watch. The neighborhoods where we are going to have salt and light in them. And because of that, there's going to be friend groups. There's going to be gardening clubs. There's going to be monthly barbecues by the pool. I'm not even talking about winning people to Jesus. Yes, on the slow model, because you're being a witness. I'm talking about winning people back to each other.
Yes.
About getting the human race back together. About helping people help each other and care about each other and know each other, so that when the chips are down, they come to each other's doors and go, how can I help? I have this. What do you have? We need to do that, because if the Lord's church doesn't do it, nobody is going to do it, because everyone is in resonance with fear, division, and isolation. We have to push back. We have to establish rings around this city of neighborhoods that have these massive pockets of growing community in them. And that has to come from the Lord's church. It's not going to come from anywhere else.
Yes, sir.
And so that's neighbor rings. And then the G is go groups. We got Lisa's going to Africa. We have others that go abroad like that. Your brother, your mom, even you are big on that kind of missions, but also under the bridge, around the city, detention centers. That's somewhere I'm not even sure how to get to them, but that beyond all the politics,
right.
Just who needs medicine, who needs care, who needs go groups. If those are your burdens, so S.T.I.N.G. Let's hit the enemy where it hurts. Let's do a sting operation on hell and trick hell into complying with heaven instead of the other way around.
Amen.